You have 3 books on your nightstand. You drop the guitar you bought last month to pick up a paintbrush, and you have a dozen browser tabs open on how to code. You likely call yourself curious, but this constant juggling keeps you stuck. Your brain functions exactly as it evolved to. Every time you discover a new hobby, your brain releases dopamine. This acts as an anticipation chemical, firing when you imagine the reward rather than when you execute the work. This graph tracks how those dopamine levels fluctuate. The moment you picture yourself speaking fluent French, you get a spike. But the second you sit down to memorize vocabulary for 3 months, those neurochemicals crash during the practice phase. Your brain interprets that drop as boredom because the novelty is gone. Instead of pushing through the friction of learning, your brain looks for a fresh idea to trigger that chemical high all over again. This cycle leaves a graveyard of half-finished projects. You aren't lazy. You are caught in a biological loop, chasing the feeling of the starting line because that's where the reward is easiest to find. It is easy to mask this biological loop as a personality trait. Labeling yourself as multidimensional or unable to pick one thing sounds open-minded, but it often serves a hidden purpose. Psychologists call this identity diffusion. By never committing to mastering a single path, you avoid the reality of being bad at it. Staying curious creates a buffer where your options stay open, protecting you from the risk of failing at something that matters. We can see the cost of this safety in the way mental energy is distributed. Think of your focus as a spotlight. When that beam splits and fractures across 12 different interests, it grows dim. You learn a little about a lot, ensuring you only ever hit the surface. This leads to decision fatigue. Every free hour requires a choice between competing hobbies. That internal friction drains your energy before you even start, leaving you to scroll through your phone instead of making progress. Staying in beginner mode is the price of avoiding the risk of failure. By protecting the safety of your potential, you ensure you never actually achieve mastery. A genuine interest is defined by your willingness to survive the frustrating middle stage of development. It's the ability to drill the same basic exercise 40 times until your skills actually begin to click. To build that competence, you need to constrain your focus using the rule of 3. Limiting yourself to a maximum of 3 interests provides enough variety without diluting your energy. One of these 3 must be your primary goal. This central circle takes priority over the others, your main focus even when distractions appear. You find that center using 2 stress test questions. First, would you still do this if nobody saw the result? Second, are you willing to be bad at it for 6 months? If yes, that pursuit earns the central spot. Focusing your energy in this way allows your skills to actually grow. You are directing your potential towards specific, measurable results. Most hobby hoppers fail because they rely on feeling motivated to do the work. Motivation is an emotion tied to that initial dopamine spike. It is guaranteed to evaporate exactly when the difficult middle stage begins and the novelty wears off. The solution is to stop relying on how you feel. You have to replace fleeting motivation with a rigid, automated routine. Locking in a specific schedule, like 30 minutes 3 times a week, removes the need for daily decisions. You aren't asking if you should practice today. That choice was already made on Sunday. A strict routine acts as the only reliable bridge across the motivation gap. It forces you to show up and execute, especially on the days you don't feel like doing it. The final step in this system is tracking your progress with a basic log. A written record removes the ability to lie to yourself. Looking at a page and seeing 4 skipped days in a row forces immediate accountability that feeling busy cannot hide. Over time, executing that routine despite boredom changes your self-perception. Every completed session is another block in a stack of evidence that you finish what you start. You leave behind the scattered dreamer. Driving deep into one pursuit, you forge a character achieving true mastery. A consistent routine builds the discipline required to finish what you start. This shift transforms vague